Looking ahead is always risky, but I did it this year. And I wanted to take time to think carefully about emerging trends because emerging trends remains one of the most important responsibilities that leaders have to understand, to have some insight into the future. As we continue to navigate many changes that are taking place and shaping the world of work and technology and leadership, I thought it was worthwhile to revisit episode 100, 2026 trends. Enjoy, and I look forward to rejoining you for our live weekly episodes in September. Welcome to the first episode of the People Dividend Podcast for 2026. I can't believe it's already here. And here we are into the first full week of 2026. I'm your host, Mike Horne. Happy New Year to all of you. And I'm absolutely thrilled to be here and to kick it off with you. If you're new here, this is the podcast where we explore how people are the real drivers of growth, innovation, and success in organizations, and how we can lead with purpose to unlock that potential and pay off huge dividends to organizations. Today, on this episode, I'm going to drive into trends and make some predictions for 2026. What's next for people? What's next for engagement, organizational culture, and leadership development? I'm going to share some thought-provoking ideas, hopefully sprinkle in a little bit of humor into today's podcast, and of course, continue to bring you insights from the People Dividend book that will set the tone for 2026 and the year ahead. So let's start with a simple truth, and that is people are the dividend that keeps paying off. And in 2026, I propose that this idea is more relevant than ever. Leaders in today's discombobulated world, in this economy that we're in, people are the greatest asset. It's more than technology. It's more than market share. It's more than strategy. It's all about driving with people in 2026. But people just aren't assets that you can manage, in the era of human resources. They're individuals with unique talents, aspirations, and quirks. And our challenge and how we treat people lies in producing the greatest rewards and the greatest returns. So as we look ahead for the coming months, for these next 12 months, the big questions are, how do we create environments where people can thrive, innovate, and bring their best selves to work? That's what we're going to continue to explore today. So first off, I'm not going to talk about AI. I'm going to talk about purpose-driven leadership. It's not a new idea, but it's no longer optional in 2026. I think employees are demanding more from their leaders, not just in terms of results, but in terms of values. We want leaders who stand for something, who create meaning, who inspire action. And here's the kicker. If you're a purpose-driven leader, you do not need to have all of the answers. But it's about asking the right questions. It's about saying, what do you need to succeed? Instead of, here's what I need from you. It's about leading with empathy, curiosity, and a willingness to learn. I mean, the key differentiator for leaders, between managers and leaders, will be this ability to learn. In the People Dividend, I talk about how purpose isn't just a feel-good concept, but rather it's a strategic advantage. When people feel connected to their larger mission, they're more engaged, more innovative, more resilient. And that's the kind of leadership we need in 2026. It was the kind of leadership that inspired me at Marriott International when I had a boss who really worked on vision and a great team to belong to at that particular moment in time. So let's think about purpose-driven leadership in 2026 and what you can do, because we're going to continue to move the shift from engagement to belonging. Belonging's fallen out of favor in certain circles, but not here with the People Dividend. We've been obsessed with engagement surveys, engagement scores. I've spent a good portion of my career focused on employee engagement. It's just the starting point, though. The real goal is to create belonging, creating cultures where people feel seen and heard and valued. And it's about making sure that everyone has a seat at the table and that their voice matters. And it's not just about diversity and inclusion, although that's a really big part of it. It's about creating psychological safety where people can take risks, share ideas, and be their authentic selves without fear of judgment. That's the goal of creating this shift from engagement to belonging, because I think what we'll see in 2026 is that organizations that prioritize belonging are going to be the ones that attract and retain top talent. And they'll be the ones that foster all the great things that we've been talking about: creativity, innovation, collaboration. And these are the organizations who create this shift to belong. Well, these are the organizations that are truly going to unlock the people dividend. So let's move on to trend 3, and there'll be a continuing evolution in leadership development, maybe some big gear shifts that we're going to have to make. We are certainly going to continue to move our way from cookie cutter leadership programs towards personalized experiential learning, a lot driven by AI. But this is where people like me, coaches, come into play. You need people like me. You think about big sports teams. This group of 3 will have a coach. This quarterback will have a coach. Leadership isn't one size fits all. It's deeply personal. It's shaped by context, culture, individual strengths. So one of the trends that I think we'll continue to see in 2026 is the continuing rise of microlearning, short, focused bursts of learning that fit into the flow of work, bite-sized videos, podcasts, AI-driven coaching tools that provide real-time feedback. We need to meet people where they are. We need to meet our leaders where they are and give them the tools they need to grow at that moment in time. So this will continue to make for a focus on emotional intelligence, self-awareness. And the people dividend, what I talk about is how great leaders aren't just skilled, they're self-aware. They understand their impact on others, and they're constantly working to improve. And in 2026, leadership development is about building that kind of self-awareness and the emotional agility to succeed so that we can think about trend 4 in the future of work as hybrid. It's what we've known in human resources since the COVID-19 pandemic. We probably knew it before, but work will continue to be hybrid. The conversational shift from where we work to how we work. It's going to be about creating human-centered workplaces, whether they're in person, remote, or somewhere in between. It's going to mean rethinking everything for how we communicate to how we collaborate. It means designing work that is flexible, inclusive, and aligned with people's lives, not just the other way around. And we're going to use more technology to increase human connection, not to replace it. And all readers of the People Dividend will know that I've explored how organizations can create cultures that are both high-performing and deeply human at the same time. Because at the end of the day, the future of work isn't just about technology. It's a big part of it, but it's about people. So we've got these 4 trends for you to consider: purpose-driven leadership, the shift to belonging, the evolution of leadership development, and the work will continue to be hybrid and human. So here's my call to action. Here's my closing. So as we kick off 2026, my question to you is, how are you going to invest in your people? How are you going to invest in yourself? And then how will you create a culture where people can thrive, they can innovate, they can bring their best selves to work? Because when you invest in people, we know that the returns are exponential. If you're looking for inspiration, check out all these People Dividend resources, our weekly blog, our weekly podcasts, and call me for coaching and consulting. Because with the People Dividend, I'm exploring how organizations, leaders create cultures that are high performing and deeply human, something that we all long for. And, look for all the insights and stories and strategies that we share with you. And we've got quite a collection coming from in my first book, Integrity by Design, through the People Dividend. And if there's anything that I want to do in 2026, it's continue to be grateful. I want to thank you for joining me on the People Dividend journey. And I want to toast your growth, your innovation, your meaningful impact. And what I hope to do is, to see you here on the People Dividend podcast and encourage you to do something different this year that will create a culture of belonging. I am so grateful for your leadership. And until the next episode of the People Dividend, I hope that you subscribe. I hope that you like the episode. And I hope that you refer to your friends. But once again, thanks for tuning in to the People Dividend podcast.